CL650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
And welcome to Experts on Call on CL650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today we're going to spend this hour talking about insurance and some of the main reasons why we need it and some of the options available to us when we want to ask questions about it or when we make an effort to purchase it. So joining us in the studio today from IntactInsurance, we have Patrick Magnuson with us, as well as Keith Story, and Andrew Tablotny is here from Laguerre Pelling Insurance in Richmond. So Patrick, Keith, and Andrew would like to say welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joanne. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice to have you all here as our resident experts. And let's just start off like we do every other show that we've had this past year. Is just tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do for the company. So Patrick, let's start with you.
Thanks, Joanne. I'm Patrick Magnuson. I'm a personal lines corporate director with IntactInsurance. That basically means I help set the product and develop the product that our broker partners like Andrew sell to our valued customers.
And Keith, also with IntactInsurance?
Yes, I've been with Intact just 14 years this last month. I've had several positions in claims, currently a claims manager. Yeah.
And Andrew, our resident broker.
Resident broker, longtime broker, 35 years in the business, or 35 plus. 25 years I've owned my brokerage here in Richmond. It's a family-run business. My wife and two sons work with me. Single brokerage. We're just keep busy and provide great service and advice to our clients.
I think this is great because obviously all three of you have to be passionate about what you do. You've been in the industry quite a long time. Doesn't sound like you're going to run away from it either.
Nope.
So I know this may sound a little bit basic to all three of you as our resident experts, but when we buy insurance from a broker, we don't always know what company we're buying insurance from. So I'd like to have you share a little bit about what IntactInsurance is all about. It's the largest insurance company in Canada, and what makes Intact stand out?
Sure. Well, as the largest insurance company in Canada, Intact provides protection for what matters most. And we know insurance isn't about things; it's about people. So it's good to know that you can always count on us to get you back when the unexpected happens. So we know you want to get back to your normal life, and we can help you do that. And claims aren't a bad thing; they happen. That's what insurance companies are there for. And our real purpose and our goal is to make sure that we can get you back in the position that you were before, in as easy and effortless as a situation as possible.
So not everybody would be a believer in insurance, or we wouldn't even question what insurance is or why we need it. Why is insurance so important, and why should we be having this conversation with all those important people in our lives?
Well, claims happen every day, and it can be a small claim right up to a total loss house fire. And insurance is there to put your house back together again. You have a $500,000 fire, which includes additional living expenses, contents insurance, the building itself. It's there to make sure that you have a place to return to. It
protects you from those financially devastating losses, and that also sort of helps with that emotional toll as well, because, our adjusters and Keith's team, they're there, they know what they're doing, they know how to do the step-by-step processes. As the largest insurer in Canada, Intact has a great supplier network. We can access the people we need to get whether it's restoration companies to clean up that mold, that water, that fire damage, that smoke damage. We can get it done quickly and efficiently.
So what do you say to that one person that sort of walks blindly through life saying, "Oh, it's not going to happen to me. I'm okay"?
Well, it's playing the odds because it can certainly happen to anybody. And insurance is there to protect you from the unforeseen. If you knew your claims were going to happen to you, well, that's not really what insurance is there for. It's to protect you from the unforeseen. So, to say that it's not going to happen to you, how do you know what is going to happen to you? You don't know if there's going to be a rodent's going to chew through your wires and all of a sudden cause a house fire, or if a pipe is going to break, or the ice maker in your fridge, if it's just the hose is going to pop off and there's going to be water damage everywhere. A lot of these claims aren't as a result of negligence. It's just stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. Large chunk of frozen water falls off a plane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And goes through the roof of your house.
Through the roof, yeah.
That was in the newspaper.
But I think, Andrew, you've always had a great perspective about why people need insurance.
Well, I guess, in fact, one of my voice when you phone my office and we put you on hold, one of my expressions is, don't trip over a nickel to save, or trip over $1 to save a dime. And and some people trip, they don't want to pay the dollar at all because they think it's not going to happen to them. And I always refer to the Christmas time where people are standing there, where there's a fire in an apartment building, and we're looking at all these people standing in their bathrobes out on the street looking at the apartment, and they got nowhere to go, and now we need to set up a fund for them to be able to buy Christmas presents again for their kids, because they couldn't spend $400 for a basic package to cover themselves.
That's right. So the bottom line is, if you don't want to be out in the street, and if you don't want to be on the front page of the newspaper or the headline in the news story, right, week before Christmas, and insurance is the way to go.
It happens all year round. So.
Absolutely. So in my mind, I would think of insurance from a homeowner's perspective, like, what would happen if a pipe burst in the house, or if the washing machine overflowed and ruined my new floors, or can we talk a little bit about what are the most common insurance claims? And did I just hit the nail on the head with maybe water issues?
Absolutely, yeah. Water in all of its glorious forms. I mean, there's lots of kinds of water damage, and we're being deluged with them, as it were. So, water has really surpassed fire as Canada's leading cause of personal property claims. It's been increasing in both frequency and severity in the past 10 years. There's really been an exponential leap in the number of water damage claims that are being done.
Well, why would that be so different? Like, what's happened in the last 10 years that we're seeing more water claims than fire?
And also the way that we build our houses today. Take a basement, for example. I recall as a child in the 70s, our basement was a concrete basement. It was Dad's workshop, if anything else.
Yeah. And the washing machine was down there.
Yeah, everything. So if water happened, there was nothing really to worry about. It would go down the drain, and maybe you need a couple of fans and a dehumidifier in there.
It flooded out the basement.
Yeah. Nowadays, you've recovered that place, often with a raised subfloor, and then everything built on top of that.
Yeah, it's become an extension of the living space, right? So there'd be high-end theater, studio equipment in there, or whatever the case. And
the other issue is, back in the days, we didn't know what mold was, and the problem now is that if your hot water tank goes, within 24 hours, mold is starting to grow. If it's cold water, it's within 48 hours. So and so if it happens on a Friday night, and you don't get bothered to get the insurance company until Monday, now you've got the potential for mold to be starting to growing in the house. So it's that's an issue that's become a lot more prevalent, and the cost to clean that up has compounded over the time as well.
Well, I think, Keith, you raised a very good point, that it's how we have designed our homes and how we've designed our lifestyles. If we're not living in the basement like we used to, and we want convenience, so it would be more convenient to have a laundry room off the kitchen on the main floor, or a laundry room off the master bedroom where all the kids are dirtying all the clothes. And so if you have a problem with that laundry machine, you're on the top floor of the house, and
water goes down.
It
finds a way to damage everything. So,
an interesting stat that I came across: that 93% of water claims are preventable, meaning
90%.
93% are preventable.
Okay.
And so like the issue with the washer and dryer on the third floor. Well, there's things you can do to protect yourself. So even if it does go, there's pans to catch the water and ways to do it. But people just slap the washer and dryer in there and say, oh well, it'll never happen to me.
Or I'll just buy insurance and it's looked after.
Well,
there's all kinds. There's another one is water detection devices. That detect as soon as water hits the floor. Will detect it, stop the water from the water main, send an alarm to whoever's in the home to let you know that there's water leaking. So if you had the washing machine going and the alarm goes off, they could know to go to the washing machine. Right back to, as I said, turning the water off right at the water main as soon as it detects.
I think we did talk about some of those water detection devices one of our very first shows.
We did, and we'll probably discuss it a little bit later on again as well,
as we do the problem solving. So is there one specific water damage claim that's more prevalent than others?
Not really. I mean, I think it's we're seeing burst pipes, we're seeing things, aging infrastructure. So whether it's an aging sewer system that isn't able to handle the volume of rain, even the kind of rain we're getting large amounts of rain, or larger amounts of rain in a shorter period of time. That's overwhelming these aging infrastructure systems. As homes get older, the hot water tanks are really only good for about 8 to 10 years. But most people don't replace them until they go. Well, and that's sort of more being a reactive than proactive. Polybutylene plumbing which is a long word, and most people probably haven't heard of it, but it was a very popular style of plumbing throughout, I think, for the 80s, 90s, even in the 2000s. Very easy to install, but very easy to bend. And when you can bend it the wrong way, and as opposed to cutting it and putting a nice little elbow in there, you get a crimp, and then it bursts. So we're starting to see now, as this stuff has been there for a couple of decades, it's starting to go.
It's starting to go.
Yeah, so it's just it's a little bit of everything.
Did we say anything about overland water?
No, we haven't talked about overland water, and that coverage has traditionally not been available for customers. There's been more updated and sophisticated flood mapping, and using that, Intact has been able to develop a reasonably priced product that provides basically this new needed coverage for most of our customers, and that's the enhanced water damage package, and it provides sewer backup coverage, and that's coverage for the backing up of water or worse, sewage into your house, usually through a basement, through a drain, a toilet, or a sump. It's nasty stuff. There has always been coverage for that. It continues to be covered here. We're also going to provide coverage for the exterior water and sewer lines, which is pretty new in the West here. So basically, it covers your freshwater line as well as your sewer line that are on your property, in the event that they break, crack, leak, tear, rupture, any of that kind of stuff. So traditionally, policies haven't covered that. The city isn't responsible for that. You as a homeowner are responsible for that. But if the line breaks, you have to go in there and fix it yourself.
It's usually an $8,000 to $10,000 bill.
That's
really?
right. Yeah.
So being something new, traditionally, I should probably go home and review my policy or talk to my broker to see if this even exists, if it was an option for me when I bought my policy. But Intact has this product.
That's right, yeah, and it's part of this enhanced water damage package. And then the other piece is the part you were alluding to. It's the overland water. Now, this is very new. This is sort of the traditional flooding. I don't want to use that term because it's not necessarily always flooding, but it provides coverage for water that enters your home at a point above the surface of the ground. So if there's heavy rains and surface water collects, pools, goes through a basement window, it'll cover that. If there is Calgary was in 2013 was a great example where you have basically rivers that overflow their banks and water just ends up everywhere. So that's basically where we're going to cover that kind of stuff now.
Sounds good. Thanks for that information. It's actually really comforting to know that there are insurance products available now to protect against all types of water damage. What are some of the tips that we can do as homeowners to help prevent these losses from occurring in the first place? What are some of the protection? You mentioned the water detection devices that you can attach. I'm sure there's other things that the
hire a good contractor if you're doing work. I mean, in the last 4 months, I've had 3 claims where there was water leakage and it wasn't covered because it was faulty workmanship. The roof cappings weren't put on properly. Skylights were put in and they were put in incorrectly. The flashing wasn't put on correctly, or there was one with a chimney where the flashing wasn't put on properly, and then the water comes in, and it's no fault of the homeowners, but faulty workmanship is excluded under every policy.
Right, so, and then try to go chase down a contractor to come back to fix it.
So that's why I always ask before you work with anybody: A, do you have workers' comp, and because you don't want to get sued for that, and B, do you have liability insurance so you've got somebody to fall back on if something happens.
And something as simple as just changing the hoses on your toilet, isn't it? Like
all your appliances. Most hoses come with a rubber hose. Rubber, it's pliable. Eventually, it will dry. It'll crack. It'll break. It'll pop off. Whatever the case. I mean, I just bought a new house last April, and we got a new washer, dryer, and a steam dryer. It was about $2,500 this set. It came with rubber hoses, and it was an option to upgrade to the steel braided hose
for another
$35. Yeah. I mean,
But the average person wouldn't even know that. Like, we don't know what we don't know. How would I know that I needed a braided hose?
Yeah, what's the point? Or what? I mean, if you're buying a $2,500 top line system, why would I need to buy this braided hose piece? That maybe seems like overkill, but it's part of that. It's part of that culture, and it's so easy to change them out. You can buy them at any home renovation place, or own a Home Depot, whatever the places are.
Home hardware kind of store.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're simple little hoses to install, and they basically prevent those kinds of damages.
Other things is maintenance. I mean, cleaning out your sump pump. After 5 years, the silt starts to build up in there and can cause the system to no longer work. 50% of all claims reoccur. So when you have a water claim, there's a 50% chance that it may reoccur unless you've delve into exactly find out what it was that caused it. So if it's your sewer, your sump pumps that brought a problem, or your outside drain tiles are plugging, if you don't go in and clean them properly, it'll end up happening again.
Same with eavesdrops are another classic
Eavesdrop,
one. I
yeah.
mean, they fill up with leaves, and you have to do it a couple times a year, especially if you have trees in your property, and especially in the Lower Mainland, we're a rainy area. So
Well, it just sounds like a lot of this is common sense, but as we all know in today's
but
age and society,
people don't like to spend money. But 2011, the industry's paid out $1.7 billion for water damage claims. So I mean that's 5 years ago. So I don't know what the current numbers are, but that's 2011. It's just getting worse and worse. Aviva, which is one of the larger companies, from 2012 to 2013, they paid $190 million more in 2013 than they did in 2012 in water losses. So like we're not talking, the individual homeowners, 2003 it was like $9,000 for a water claim. Now the average is about $20,500. So even $20,500 doesn't seem like a big number, but when you start adding it all up and compounding it, $1.7 billion is a lot of dollars. So our premiums could come down if people would take a few precautions.
Andrew, you've put a lot of that into perspective for us. You are listening to Experts on Call on CL650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Joined in studio today are resident insurance experts. We have Patrick Magnuson and Keith Story, both from IntactInsurance, along with our resident broker, Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance here in Richmond. If you want more information about the topics we're talking about today, or just basic insurance information, please visit the website intact.ca. This conversation continues with some clarification about earthquake insurance. That's next on Experts on Call on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.